The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Chen Wei stepped forward, her weathered hands clasping a simple briefcase. Around her, representatives from 47 species observed with barely concealed amusement. The humans had requested an emergency session, claiming they possessed weapons capable of defending against the hegemony's invasion fleet. Esteemed colleagues, Chen began, her voice steady despite the weight of humanity's survival resting on her shoulders. The hegemony approaches our borders with 1 million ships. They believe Earth will fall within standard rotations. A chittering laugh echoed from the Vextai delegation. Humans, hissed their speaker through translated vocalizations, your species has existed in space for merely 2 centuries. The hegemony has conquered systems for millennia. What could you possibly possess that we do not? Chen opened her briefcase with deliberate slowness. Inside, nestled in foam padding, lay what appeared to be an ordinary metallic cylinder, no larger than a human thumb. The chamber erupted in derisive sounds, the Chronari's booming guffaws, the Stellans' musical trills of mockery, the Zephyrians' subsonic rumbles of disbelief. This, Chen said, holding up the device, is humanity's greatest weapon. The laughter intensified. High Arbiter Velnath, a towering crystalline being whose species had ruled the galaxy's center for eons, leaned forward with audible skepticism crackling through his translation matrix. Ambassador, surely you jest. That trinket could not harm a juvenile glimmerwing, let alone stop a hegemony dreadnought. You're absolutely correct, Chen replied calmly. This device cannot destroy a single ship. She paused, letting the admission sink in before continuing. It can, however, destroy every planet in a star system. The laughter died instantly. Impossible, breathed the Thylorian representative, her tentacles writhing with anxiety. No, civilization would create such a thing. The ethical implications alone. Exactly, Chen interrupted. No civilization would create such a thing. No civilization except humanity. She activated the holographic display, and the chamber's atmosphere grew thick with dread as technical specifications materialized above their heads. Energy conversion ratios, quantum cascade formulas, stellar ignition sequences. We call them planet crackers, Chen explained with the same tone she might use to discuss weather patterns. Quantum fusion devices designed to destabilize a star's core, causing it to undergo premature supernova. The explosion sterilizes everything within 12 light years. We've deployed them in every system bordering hegemony space. The Mirano delegate, whose species prided itself on logical analysis, frantically calculated the implications. You're describing the annihilation of billions of innocent lives, entire ecosystems, the destruction of worlds that took millions of years to evolve complex life. Yes, Chen agreed without hesitation. That's exactly what we're describing. High Arbiter Velnath's crystalline form pulsed with horrified realization. You cannot be serious. To actually deploy such weapons would make humanity the greatest monsters in galactic history. Chen's expression hardened. High Arbiter, with respect, we already are monsters. We're the species that invented warfare as an art form. We perfected genocide before we learned to harness fire efficiently. We fought 2 global wars that killed hundreds of millions of our own people over ideological differences. We nearly destroyed our homeworld through industrial excess before we ever left our atmosphere. She walked slowly around the chamber's perimeter, meeting the gaze of every representative. Every species here achieved interstellar travel through cooperation and peaceful development. You expanded gradually, forming alliances and trade partnerships. You encountered other civilizations and found ways to coexist. Her voice gained intensity. Humanity clawed its way to the stars through 10,000 years of systematic violence. We are descended from predators who hunted megafauna to extinction. We domesticated other species through selective breeding. We conquered our own planet not once, but dozens of times throughout our history. The chamber remained deathly quiet. The hegemony looks at the galaxy and sees resources to be acquired, territories to be administered, populations to be managed. They're imperialists, cruel perhaps, but rational. They want to rule, not destroy. Chen returned to her position at the center of the chamber. But we're different. When humanity looks at the universe, we see only two categories, us and everything else. Ambassador Keth of the peaceful Alderani spoke with trembling words. Surely you wouldn't actually. The moral implications. Moral implications? Chenny laughed bitterly. The hegemony has already glassed 17 worlds that refuse to surrender. They use civilian populations as living shields. They conduct biological experiments on captured prisoners. And you're concerned about our moral implications? She held up the device again. This weapon represents humanity's most fundamental truth. We would rather see the galaxy burn than accept defeat. Every planet cracker is equipped with quantum entanglement communicators. If the hegemony destroys Earth, they simultaneously detonate across 48 star systems. The Zephyrian representative's voice came as a whisper. Mutually assured destruction. You would commit universal genocide to prevent your own extinction. Without hesitation, Chen confirmed. Because unlike every other species in this chamber, humans understand that there are fates worse than death. The hegemony offers slavery with better living conditions. We prefer annihilation with dignity. High Arbiter Velnath processed this information with growing horror. You're holding the entire galaxy hostage. No, Chen corrected firmly. We're offering the galaxy a choice. Help us stop the hegemony through conventional warfare, or watch as we stop them through unconventional means. Either way, the hegemony, threat ends here. She closed the briefcase with a soft click. Humanity has been preparing for this war for 2 centuries. Not hoping for it, not seeking it, but preparing for it. Because we've learned that in a universe full of predators, the only way to guarantee survival is to become the apex predator. The chamber erupted in frantic discussions as representatives contacted their home governments. Within hours, the largest military alliance in galactic history began forming. The hegemony's invasion fleet encountered not a single human vessel, but the combined forces of 47 civilizations. The war lasted 3 years. The hegemony was utterly defeated. Humanity never used a single planet cracker, but the galaxy would never again laugh at human weapons. Because they had learned the most terrifying truth about humanity. Their greatest weapon wasn't technology or strategy, or even their willingness to die for their beliefs. It was their absolute, unwavering willingness to take everyone else with them.